I think that one's probably a close-up for you. And we're back with Robbie and Tim from Rebellion. We're here to talk about Strange Brigade and Rogue Trooper Redux. We're going to do Strange Brigade first, then we're going to cut for a little bit, come back, Rogue Trooper. So tell us all about Strange Brigade.
Well, Strange Brigade is our brand new game. We just announced it last week, and we're really excited to be showing it at E3 today. And it's a third-person action-adventure cooperative shooter for 1 to 4 players, set in the 1930s, and you're part of a brigade of...
Is the brigade strange in any way?
They are somewhat strange, yes, that's true. And you're kind of a government special forces secret group sent in to deal with supernatural phenomenon around the world. And in this particular case, you have to deal with a situation that's been unleashed by a rogue archaeologist who's dug up the tomb of an ancient Egyptian evil witch queen pharaoh, and the curse she's unleashed upon the region. And there are all manner of undead, mythical beasties and monsters that you have to deal with. It's a lot of fun. It's certainly a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, perhaps, than our previous titles. We're having a lot of fun with the humour in this. We're taking a lot of inspiration from Saturday morning matinee kind of movie serials and generally the media, or the popular pulp media of the time around the 1930s, 40s, which was, I guess, the kind of equivalent to the computer games of their day, when they didn't have computers, obviously, but they were the things that kids were enjoying and playing, and adults were enjoying, perhaps, you know, less publicly, but still dug it. And
so you're known for the studio is known for Sniper Elite. What kinds of gameplay and hooks will people recognize when they play Strange Brigade?
Well, I think certainly it's going to be familiar to a lot of our players in that pretty much all our games lately have featured sort of strong cooperative play. I mean, Sniper Elite itself, you can play the whole campaign cooperatively, and there's competitive modes as well. We did a similar thing with Battlezone and indeed in Zombie Army Trilogy, and that's something that we're really, you know, means a lot to us at Rebellion, like the idea of being able to play together with your friends. I mean, yes, cool, you can play on your own as well, but yeah, things really come to life when you've got, like, you know, your friends with you, and you can fight alongside each other.
And when the whole premise is that you're a brigade, a team.
Well, exactly.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. We're having a lot of fun this time around because we've got like 4 very distinct characters. They've all got their own abilities and weapons. And
yeah, what character are you playing as now?
Okay, this is Gracie Braithwaite. She's a tough northern British lass. Grew up in the mining areas of Lancashire. She's a particular specialist with the shotgun. But one of the key mechanics we've got in the game is the more you do damage to the enemies and keep that sustained, you fill up a power bar at the bottom of the screen. You can see the one that Robbie has just singularly failed to fill up just there by getting killed.
It's not an easy game, is what we're seeing here.
Well, you know, there's deliberate challenge. Where's the fun without challenge? But, you know, he was back up again immediately.
Yeah.
And but when you fill that up, the more you fill it up, the more power, more damage you do, the more...
Minotaurs don't mess around. I don't know.
Like the faster you fire, and if you fill it up to the top, you fill your amulet, and then you can unleash your special move, your special power, which in her case is she can pull enemies towards her and then fling them away so that they explode amongst a bunch of enemies, which in turn allows you to do an awful lot of damage, and then you can like fill up your power bar almost immediately again. It's a really kind of fun mechanic where you can you know, chain your specials together and get insanely big combos.
Neat. What about the other characters that we're not seeing on screen? What's their thing?
So we've got Frank Fairburn, who's he's a rifle specialist. We've got Professor Archimedes de Quincey. He's like a...
That's a fantastic name.
He's something of a scholar, but he's also a dab hand with a machine gun. He's got a really cool special move where he can fire off like a swarm of like magic beetles that then zip around between characters, blowing them up. And we've also got Nalangu Rashida. She's a Maasai warrior, and she's got this really cool ability where launches herself into the air and does like a spinning around ground slam kind of attack, setting everything on fire around her. There's loads more cool special powers coming along for the game as well. And what Robbie's just doing here, he's just found a workbench where you can switch out your weapons, and he's just bought himself the Krakatoa shotgun there, which is a special weapon, which not only is a really powerful shotgun, but it also sets things on fire as well, which is...
That's a handy feature to have.
It's pretty satisfying. And the thing with mummies is they're like really dry and flammable, so you know, it's a good mix.
So it's set in the 1930s, you said, right?
Yeah.
So do world events that were happening play into it? Is it more for the tone and feel of the?
Well, it's kind of the tone and feel. It was sort of like when the British Empire was still a thing, but we're kind of poking fun at that, and the whole idea of you know, the adventuring and daring do of the time. All our characters kind of reflect you know, different variations on like British culture and other cultures from around the world that have been brought into the Strange Brigade because of their special abilities and their affinity for dealing with the supernatural. But one of the other things we've got in the game was we got a narrator throughout, just like the old like movie serials, how the narrator says, "Oh, stay tuned, you know, how are our heroes going to get out of this?" and all the terrible cliffhangers and things. So he's narrating the action, kind of breaking the fourth wall, gives you you know, encouragement at times, or you know, make a joke here and there, or even sometimes he'll be giving you a clue if you're like trying to find like the answer to a puzzle. He'll be like, "Oh, our characters haven't spotted that like secret glyph in the shadows in the corner," which is it's useful and it's fun, and it kind of gives a real flavour and character to the game.
That's a cool touch, yeah. And this looks very, you know, like you said, serials, Indiana Jones, like the exploring an old mine shaft with mummies and such.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole region is around this area. There's lots of archaeological digs. We've got loads of variety in the levels as well. I mean,
I was going to ask.
There's an overarching campaign, but yes, in this particular one, we're trying to search out the vessel of enlightenment. Indiana Jones style, which I don't know if we'll have time for Robbie to actually get to it, but yeah, things really kick off when you pick that up off the plinth.
So do you have a release for this?
We don't just yet. We're currently in alpha. Things are coming together really well, but we'll be releasing it when it's ready.
Yeah. So that was Strange Brigade, everybody. We'll be right back with Rogue Trooper Redux. So how's E3 going for you?
Good. Yeah, really well.
Yeah, that's good.
How are you doing?
Pretty well. We've got our posh booth here.
Yeah, nice. We were on short session, wasn't it? Did you pull off any sniffles?
Yes, I did, yeah.
You can hold the mic up.
Huh?
You can let him actually talk about his time.
Oh, yeah.
Are we on camera?
We're on mic.
We're on audio.
Oh, sorry.
Consummate pros. This is as bad as our Twitch streams, Tim.
Yeah.
No, it's pulled off a couple of specials. Haven't made it into that last area yet because I keep dying. My rehearsal was far better this morning again.
Yeah.
Always over-promising.
I saw you playing earlier. It was really good.
Yeah, thanks. Lucky I managed to avoid playing well during the stream, so that was all cool. Right, I think they're putting Rogue Trooper together for us now.
Yeah, Rogue Trooper next, is that right?
Yep. Just getting set up. Shouldn't be long now. Last day.
Last day, yeah. It's been a long week, but it's been really good.
Yeah. It's been longer than usual this year. Trooper Redux. Tell us the basic idea of Rogue Trooper Redux and Rogue Trooper, the history as well.
So Rogue Trooper is one of the most popular characters from 2000 AD, the comic, which is the home of Judge Dredd, who I think most people will be familiar with. Rogue Trooper is he's a genetically engineered infantryman sent in to go to war on this planet called New Earth, which is of strategic importance in the galaxy because of its proximity to a black hole, which is being used to travel to far-flung places. And you're a key pivot in the battle between the evil Noughts and the good Southers. And it's...
Oh, the Southers good though, Tim.
Oh well, you know, you're getting a little bit deep politically now. You'll have to judge for yourself.
North and South means something completely different in America. So.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes. Sorry. Well. Yes. Okay. But the game originally came out in 2006. A lot of people consider it something of a cult classic now. We were nominated for a couple of BAFTA awards with it. It got really great reception. But that was over 10 years ago now. And and that was like PlayStation 2, the very first Xbox, PC. This time we've decided to take the opportunity to bring it to the modern consoles, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch. We've given it a full graphical overhaul. We've redone like all the character artwork, the lighting, the vehicles, the environments, and it's just really bring it up to date visually. But the gameplay we feel really stands up and is still really fun. It was like at the time it was kind of ahead of its time in many respects. It was a strategic third-person shooter with some cover mechanics, and you'd upgrade your abilities as you went through, salvaging from like the enemies and using your abilities to manufacture ammunition and new powers and things. And one of the really unique aspects of Rogue Trooper is it's kind of a squad-based shooter, except your squad mates are all fixed within your equipment because they are your comrades who die early on in the massacre.
Gunner is about to die.
Sorry?
Gunner is about to die.
Ah, yes. Gunner, your buddy, is about to die just here. But because their personalities are stored on a biochip implanted in their head, if you manage to get that out within a minute of them dying, he's able to implant them in his equipment. And so they can keep like talking to you throughout the game, wisecracking, helping you out, and enhancing your equipment as well. So over the course of the game, you'll be unlocking abilities like hologram decoys to distract the enemy. Your gun, because it's got gunner in it, you can set it down and it can act like an automated sentry gun. There's loads of other cool stuff like that. You've got one of your other buddies called Bagman. He gets implanted in your backpack, and then he can like manufacture equipment for you and inject you with like health pickups and things. And it's it's a really cool game. It's a really fun shooter, and it's a really great story.
So the era that this comes out of, there were a lot of different developers trying shooters and sort of trying different gimmicks and different tools, because it wasn't like a solved problem yet. You know what I mean?
No, indeed.
And I think the ones that stand up as cult classics are the ones that tried something different. So what do you think made this stand out and sort of stand the test of time?
Well, I think a lot of it is the narrative and the story. Like, people really connect with the character. It is a classic tale of like betrayal and revenge, and the fact that he is, essentially a badass. He's really cool. But I think it's the depth of the mechanics as well that really helps. It's not like a standard like linear third-person shooter the way a lot were then. We had quite an open, non-linear approach to a lot of the larger levels where you really could approach it any way you wanted, which is something we've kind of continued as we've moved forward into the Sniper Elite franchise.
Right.
You can kind of see a lot of the seeds of what Sniper Elite became in Rogue Trooper.
So it was important to, it sounds like it was important to touch up the graphics, but to leave the gameplay just as is, so people who already love it will be able to play this. And
absolutely, we've made some changes though, because some things like the cover mechanics in it. Originally you had to press a button to go into cover, and it was sort of slightly more cumbersome than it needed to be, or
sure,
you expect it to be simpler now. So we've now automated that, so you just push against cover and you automatically go into cover. We've added in like an over-the-shoulder aiming mode as well, which makes the gunplay feel a little bit more personal than it did before, where you were somewhat removed from it because of the camera angle. So we made little tweaks like that just to make it a little bit more contemporary feeling. But essentially, it is it is the game that people fell in love with, and hopefully they're going to be able to fall in love with it all over again.
Yeah. So how's the audience response been? You said there's a cult classic. There's obviously a community for it. When you introduced it, what kind of response did you see?
Oh, they went crazy. It's like it's great. Like that people love it as much as we do, and yeah, people have been clamoring for more Rogue Trooper for years, and we really hope it's a success. Certainly, in terms of feedback we've had so far, it's been really strong. And the 2000 AD fans themselves are like the most hardcore of the fans in many respects. Like one of the things we've done with the character design this time around. Originally, in the original game, he had like quite sort of baggy combat pants on, but the character design for the character from the comics when he started like 35 years ago has these really sort of skin tight pants, and we've gone back to the original character design for our Redux version. And that's met with a really great response as well. So we're kind of echoing the original legendary Dave Gibbons artwork from the original as well.
So it's a squad shooter, but it sounds like you're the squad.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're sort of sending out the different members of your team.
We do though have a 4-player co-op modes as well.
Oh, like an option,
that will be coming. So obviously it was online on PC back in the day. I'm probably going to die. There we go. I'm in cover automatically. That's handy. Which is kind of like a prequel to the actual campaign. So you're playing with the guys who are actually dead in this part of the campaign, which is quite cool as well.
Dead but still alive.
Yeah. That you can use virtually in some way. So tell us a little bit more of an overview of the story of what are we doing right now? What are you trying to accomplish?
So what we're experiencing right now, we're in the midst of the Quad Zone massacre. At the beginning of the game, the entirety of the genetic infantrymen, all the blue guys that have been manufactured to survive on this planet, which has been ravaged by war for generations. It's heavily polluted. The atmosphere is completely unbreathable to humans. Like so, all the Norths and Southers have to wear like atmosphere protection, like spacesuits essentially. Whereas the genetic infantrymen are immune to that. They're super tough, so they can act more freely and more powerfully in the battle. But the Norts are not into that, and because of betrayal of a particular general on the south side, they're all massacred just as they're going into battle, and only a few of them actually make it through to the ground, and you're one of them. But after not very long, like you're literally the only one left, and it's basically up to you to kind of track down the traitor, find out who it is, and then bring them to justice and avenge all your fallen comrades.
Have you been looking into, obviously you said this is sort of a classic, it's highly regarded. Have you looked at other classic franchises? Is this sort of a test bed for bringing things back that are from your library? Things that people still love from way back when? Oh,
there's certainly a lot of things we'd like to do, but we never say no to anything. But yeah, this is certainly a bit of an experiment in that regard. But it's
I think it's cool how there's more developers, paying homage to their roots now instead of just always putting out the new thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important and it's exciting to do new stuff, but sometimes there are things that we believe deserve like a wider audience than perhaps they got at the time, and to see a new lease of life. I mean, it's over a decade later, and it's easy for things.
There's plenty of new gamers that we're not adult enough to play.
Exactly.
At the time.
And for myself, I'm excited to be able to play it again on new consoles as well.
Yeah.
And, to take it on the move on the Nintendo Switch. It's, that's cool.
Our unofficial slogan is everything should be on Switch. So, when can we play Rogue Trooper Redux?
Rogue Trooper Redux will be coming out this year, so not long to wait now.
Not that long, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got half of it left, so thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
And we'll be back with more from the Shacknews booth at E3 2017.